Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 507 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda, and I am joined today in pretend low Earth orbit by three of the greatest geeks that you ever would want to greet. I got Chris DeBona.
Hello.
Rob Roseboom.
Hello.
Nate Ostendorp.
Heidi ho.
And today we are watching, we watched Stand By Me.
Hey, you guys want to go see a body?
You aren't kidding.
Wait, I thought I was going to be able to do this with my clothes on. Oh, you're talking about the movie. Okay.
Today you just Google it. Back then you had to actually go hike for a day and a half.
Yeah.
So Nate, right before I pressed record, you revealed something.
Well, this was my first time watching this movie. I think this one
Me too.
Was I was too young to see it when it came out, and because of the way that movies worked during our childhood, it just never quite made it to me. So, I'd heard of this movie a bunch, but this was my first time watching it.
Yeah, it was my first time too, and it's a hard movie for me.
I gotta say, it's the only movie I've seen where I felt like, Corey Feldman did a really good job.
Corey Feldman is awesome.
He's great in this.
He really did. He's got that screwed up ear, you know.
The performances across the board are pretty dang good. My one complaint with it is, and if you wanted to ever do a drinking game on this one, and this evening all I have is iced coffee, but the random accents that certain characters have. Okay, so to be clear, this movie is set in Castle Rock, Oregon. Somebody's got a fan on.
My bad.
It's the wrong Castle Rock for starters, right? Am I correct in that?
Yep.
But then all of the Portland stuff, it seems weird to me because there's guys with they got a New York accent, all these big city guys. It's weird. Yeah.
They made odd choices. It's I think they were Portland, Maine, right? It's got to be just like Portland, Maine. That'll be a bunch of East Coasties. Yeah, let's use Portland accents. And
basically the same.
Well, Portland, Oregon's a little different, So Rob, I wanted to check something with you. The you are presenting window is in sort of a funny place. Is that what you wanted? I don't know if you care.
I have a whole thing happening differently on the live stream than what you guys are seeing. That's part of the.
No, I was just looking at the live stream. That's why I was.
Did I move it?
Yeah. So.
Oh, it says
it is.
I see what's happening.
Yeah,
this.
It's over Rob Roseboom's head.
Let's see if I can fix that for Jake and Elon.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, we got to think about Jake and Elon.
Yeah, the actual making of this movie was kind of strange too, in that Rob Reiner wasn't supposed to direct. He ended up just kind of doing it. It kind of fell into his lap. He hadn't really done anything other than be meathead on All in the Family, pretty much. Once it got made, they lost their distributor. No one wanted to pick the movie up, and he sort of got it to one of the heads of the studio. He didn't much care for it, but his daughter really liked it, so he's like, let's try it. And what do you know? It turned out to be a giant hit.
Huge.
I mean, I would
and an important movie.
It might be my favorite Stephen King movie. Yeah,
I was going to say, and it's probably the best Stephen King adaptation that they've done. So.
I'd argue
maybe Green Mile.
I'd argue on The Shining, but my understanding is that is not the Stephen King Shining.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
All right, so I had seen this movie a couple of times. There are a handful of moments in this movie which I'm sure we tagged, but moments that stuck with me. And I was surprised because for me, the only thing I really remembered about this movie, before I sat down and watched it, I knew Will Wheaton was in it because you don't spend a decade making Star Trek jokes without obligatory Will Wheaton Stand By Me references. And I knew that it had a Corey. I had forgotten about Kiefer Sutherland. I had forgotten
and John
about
Cusack.
Fat Jerry O'Connell.
Right?
Who they call fat regularly in the movie, and then he takes his shirt off and he looks like every kid.
Right.
That's depressing. But I don't know, like the casting is dang solid, but that was all I remembered. I remember the dog growling and scaring the kids. I remember the train sequence with them running across the bridge. And when I got to the pie eating contest, I was like, what the hell am I watching?
Yeah. Well, we should save that for the
you forgot Chris. I mean, River Phoenix is in this too.
Yeah,
so.
Right.
Young Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
No, this is an incredible cast, and it's got Will Wheaton. Wheaton.
So here's
the very first note.
Our first note is 318, Corey Feldman. It opens up with like the newspaper reveal and the guy sitting in the car and whatever.
I thought that this line at 318 where he says, a pile of shit has 1,000 eyes, really sums up his character perfectly.
Let's see what we got.
Come on, I got 30. What have you got?
16.
Go ahead. Keep laughing.
Down your right, pal.
Chris Chambers was the leader.
Was it before that?
It was before.
Well, I couldn't believe the mole on Corey Feldman's face. Like, is that a real mole? And then he's got the screwed up ear, which is part of the story. But like, I think the mole was just his mole, and then he had it cut off later or something. Yeah.
This is you, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Dead body.
That's it. It's the pole line.
Yeah. That's the movie.
You know, I was like, well, we got to have that one. We have to talk about that. And remember, you know, yeah, I mean, the idea that a bunch of 11-year-olds in a crappy tree fort are, you know, smoking cigarettes and playing poker, and they're going to go off into the forest to go see a dead body. We had a thing in our forest in our backyard in Virginia, but it was just like some old car that had sort of rotten away and rusting, you know, and so we would sit in that, and it was stick shift. So, but it wasn't cool like this. So,
my neighbors had a pretty sweet treehouse. That was where all the neighborhood porn was stockpiled for the porn apocalypse.
Yeah, because you know.
The thing that I was thinking a lot about is I remember seeing this, you know, I was probably not 12 when I saw this. I probably was more like 14 or 15. But I remember thinking how far removed the lifestyle of these 12-year-olds was from my own experience as a 12-year-old. And now watching this, you know, in my mid-40s and thinking how far removed my children's childhood is from my own childhood, and that's like a full cycle after this.
What do you mean that these kids have effectively like unsupervised just existence for multi-hour / multi-day periods?
They literally just go camp, and I don't think they ask permission.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and see, for me, this movie resonated for me because this is a lot. Like
Sure.
how I grew up and in my group of friends, like an awful lot.
For sure. I mean, like I said, and that I think to me, what resonated the hardest was thinking about what was different for these kids to my generation and then to my kids. My kids, you know, are this age, and they don't do any of this stuff. They barely leave the house. They play video games. They go in the yard. They don't have a roaming, like I had a roaming batch of kids that we biked around, you know, I don't know, we could bike 5-6 miles any direction, you know, at this age, you know, and be gone for 10 hours at a pop. My children don't have that freedom.
Yeah, my son has that when he goes to camp in the summer, because he goes away for like a month, 2 months at a time, right? I mean, but, you know, that's where he sort of wanders. But around here, now, Franny, my kid, my daughter, she, you know, one of the deals was she was like, "Listen, I need to go. I need to bike." And she was like 12 years old. And I'm like, "All right, so you have a phone on you, and I can track you like a whale in the Pacific, you know." Right. And like, so she would bike like crazy. So it's not dead. It's just you have to have a kid who wants it, you know.
That's true.
Yeah, I had forgotten that John Cusack was his brother in this. You know, like
look at this MSU.
Even a lot of the throwaway characters in this movie are, you know, turned out to be really famous actors.
Right.
So.
Also, they live in Portland, but he has a Michigan State University pennant.
I was wondering about that.
That's weird.
It's super weird, you know.
Trying to get to a shot of John.
I mean, they talk about it as if it's the state school that he would go to, Your brother went to Michigan, right? And it's like,
oh, there we go. Here's some Cusack.
Wait. There's another pennant back there, but I don't think it's an MSU pennant.
Man, he's young.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the only thing I wanted to say around this was who's in this movie? Everybody. Including a 20-year-old John Cusack. So, yeah.
It's true. This is you, Rob.
Oh, 10:30. This is when. So anyway, this reminded me of when I was this kid's age. We took one weekend after we saw this movie. We took like an epic journey out to, where the Felt Mansion is?
Yeah.
South of town, south of Holland. The Saugatuck Dunes out there. There's always this legend that there was an insane asylum out there where they put the insane prisoners. So we went out there one behind mansion, walking those BMX trails, and try to get out to the Saugatuck Dunes so that we could find this insane asylum that was supposed to be out in the woods. But our adventures weren't quite as exciting as theirs. Mostly,
wait a second.
We just got tired after about 2 hours of walking around in the woods. We made a campfire. We didn't see one melon head the whole time we were out there.
Wait a second. So what year would this have been at Mr. Rosebud?
This was
close to 86.
Yeah, I think we were 12 or 13 when we went out there.
So in 1977, the Felt Estate was purchased by the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan used the Felt Mansion as a state police post and converted the school building into the Saugatuck Dunes Correctional Facility. The prison was closed in 1991. So you weren't wrong. There was a prison. There are people who were probably locked up who were
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nutty, So
well, it turned out that the insane asylum that everyone talked about, it wasn't an asylum, it was just one building. And it wasn't for the insane prisoners. It's where they put all the good prisoners. It turned out to be in real life. So, but we didn't run into that either. Neither did they catch us, which was interesting because we weren't exceptionally quiet, and we had flashlights, and we made a big fire. So
okay,
and you can do weddings there now.
Yeah. No, they restored it. So wait a second. There's something called a melon head. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, that's why I said we didn't see one melon head.
Yeah. Melon heads are generally described as small humanoids with bulbous heads emerging from hiding to attack people. According to legend, a hospital closed and they all went out into the Felt Mansion. The Felt Mansion?
Welcome to Holland lore.
This is fantastic. Are you kidding?
After
no
this,
wonder you guys just screwed up.
We're gonna take you out on the dunes, and we're gonna teach you about. We're gonna take you on dune study, and then after that, we're gonna take you out onto the pier and tell you about all the people who die because they walk out on the pier
during storms. Every year, someone gets washed off. At least one person gets washed off the pier.
It looks like both Chris and Rob have a pause at 12:49.
Mine, it's mine!
12. Oh, so I was just going to say that in the history of the world, no one named Eyeball has ever been part of National Honor Society or the debate club or anything. I mean, like, for sure, that guy, if you know someone named Eyeball, they're for sure a hooligan. That's it.
The thing I was going to mention here is that Kiefer Sutherland still looks like a vampire. He's got like the same like super blonde hair, and maybe it's just the color his hair was back then. I don't know.
That was his jam, man.
Right? Totally. So next, you're up, Rose.
So,
Rosie,
I just this part of the movie just reminded me of how much I loved this movie because of lots of things, but especially the pacing. I mean, we're not even 15 minutes into this movie. We know a little personal thing about all the main characters.
Yep.
We know the history of the, pseudo antagonists a little bit. We know that they're going on this grand adventure. I mean, I feel like if the people who made The Hobbit had watched this movie, they could have made an excellent adventure movie as well.
And in under 9 hours.
Yeah. Correct. Here we are, under 15 minutes. You got backstory. You probably have a favorite character already.
you have antagonists, you have protagonists, you have, about their parents, which one's beaten up by their parents, or how often the last time they were beaten up. Like,
Right.
well, I haven't been beaten up since I was 13, but Corey Feldman's dad held his ear to the oven.
Just one of the great lines in this that, his dad almost killed him. My dad hadn't laid a hand on me in years.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't give a shit about him, but he was ready to defend his dad.
There's a lot of like that, but I mean that's the whole thing of this movie, right? It is very much the boy on the edge, on the line between whatever puberty and childhood,
right?
It's just character moments.
Approaching adulthood and kids who are going into adulthood having to have dealt with adult problems already.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
go on. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, and you get the foil with Kiefer Sutherland and his gang and like their mailbox. Right. You can see, although I guess the one thing you don't really see is, Gordy's the only one that has an escape trajectory, and I don't think there's anybody in the movie that really role models that for you. But you can see, Kiefer Sutherland and his gang represents the inevitable end. For these boys, and you get Gordy. I mean, Gordy gives you a little a little epilogue. Where who is he? Mr. Holland is narrating all of this. I went Mr.
Richard
Holland.
Griffiths,
I went Mr. Holland and not Jaws. So let's see. This is 1830.
Yeah. This I was just going to point out how wonderful it would be if skin it as a means of conflict resolution everywhere what was possible, if all UN treaties were just, forget the paper, just
15
skin it.
seconds, you're good.
And yeah.
I don't know. I feel like all of their interactions are real. I mean, that's the magic of this movie, man.
Yeah.
Well, if you read like Will Wheaton talking about this movie, evidently they just put all the kids together for a couple weeks beforehand, and he's like, part of the reason it's so good is that each one of these kids is kind of like the character that they're playing. River Phoenix was kind of their leader. He was kind of the nerdy one. Corey was having tons of problems at home, was really angry and messed up.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And Jerry O'Connell just liked a good hot dog.
Yep.
It's kind of weird to think, he was the fat nerd one, I guess, of the group. I don't know. Gordy was a nerd too, but he's the dumpy one.
It's not fat. It's just
but
kid
they make
fat,
jokes
you know?
throughout. Like they call him the fat one. Like that's how he. I mean, he is not fat by 2020 American boy standard.
Yeah. Right.
But
and he's not even truffle shuffle fat. He's
right.
just
That's true. But he
might be a little husky.
Yes.
A little husky.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Roseman.
But he also then goes on to be in Sliders and become like a hunk. I guess he's an attractive male lead type role for many years. Whereas the rest of the boys, they all have their different stories. But he probably was in a lot of ways the most successful of them.
I would say River Phoenix was probably.
Yeah, but he died.
Yeah, but he checked out less than a decade later.
Yeah, I mean, once you die, you don't get to keep the crown. It goes to Jerry O'Connell.
I suppose.
Imagine losing your crown to Jerry O'Connell.
That sucks.
So, in addition to causing adolescent Rob and his friends to almost get picked up by the state police behind the Felt Mansion, this scene here with Chopper. This whole thing with Chopper, briefly got me super interested in dog training. I thought for sure I was going to be an animal trainer for a while, but it only lasted maybe 1 or 2 weeks after I discovered how hard it was to get the family dachshund to actually go and retrieve my dad's cigarettes at a command. I just gave up. I'm like, I don't have the patience for this.
Well, I mean, you can tell too because you didn't recognize that Chopper's real name was Popeye. Yeah, I mean, if you had really cared, you would have known that it was Popeye who was the dog.
Well, IMDb didn't exist back in the day.
Well,
or Wikipedia. So you actually needed to know the animal trainer to know that the animal's real name was Popeye. But I did read that, Chris.
Okay.
Rob, did you? Are we queued up for your dialogue here?
Yeah, I just talked about it.
Oh, okay. Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, well, there's a narration bit here where it's just, Richard Dreyfuss is talking about sick balls, and it's just not a very Dreyfussarian moment. Like this is where a different actor might have done the narration a little more justice.
But it does seem to me like this would be the sort of thing that kids would have rumors about, though, right?
For sure.
About
Totally.
the town junk man has a mean dog that specifically goes for your balls on a command.
Yeah.
This is the thing about Stephen King, right? It's these little freaking details like this where you're just like, how does he capture it so effing perfect?
It's the difference between the good writer and the great writer. The good writer, can share with you events, stories, narrations. They can tell you a story. The great writer, makes those human moments that you're like, you have to know somebody who told you that, right? You can't have just thought of that because it's so real and so perfect. I'll let some of the Richard Dreyfuss run here. Is that
specific parts of the human anatomy. Thus, a kid who had illegally scaled the junkyard fence might hear the dread cry, "Chopper, sick balls." Right?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Just sick balls.
Can I just? I gotta stop. Listen, so Stephen King. What blows my mind about Stephen King? This is him drunk. He wrote this story in the middle of his blackout drunk coke years. I mean, he's sort of famous for saying he doesn't remember writing Christine. You know, and that was in 1981. And this was in Different Seasons, which was a collection of short stories written up through 82. And it's like, this is this guy freaking drunk?
Yeah.
Like, man, it's like, imagine if he had been in full,
Oh, you mean
in
full Coke mode where, what's the one where the cars come to life and have machine guns?
That's Maximum Overdrive.
Yes.
Maximum Overdrive.
I feel like
that was a stinker.
Peak cocaine Stephen King.
Oh, that was so bad. And the movie was even worse. I should force y'all to watch that damn.
I watched that movie a year ago. It's a train wreck of terrible, and it's great.
Awful, and it's Emilio Estevez.
Is that? I thought it was Charlie Sheen.
No, it's his brother, right?
I thought Charlie Sheen. Oh no, you're right, because Charlie Sheen was in The Wraith, which is another contemporaneous train wreck.
Oh, yeah, no, but Maximum Overdrive. I just remember they had
That's right.
well, they had the truck with the clown face from the
with
circus.
the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with the Green Goblin on it, right? And it's just like, wow, this is a terrible movie. And this is back when I watched terrible movies and loved them.
Father God.
I still watch terrible movies and love them.
Sonny Jesus.
Sorry, we missed the dialogue line there. But the shopkeeper was saying, "Oh God, could he throw? Sweet Jesus!" And I
remember
don't know.
the year was all conference. Quarterback he played. Boy, could he throw.
Boy, could he throw.
Yeah. And then at the end of this, he asks him, "Well, what do you do?"
Yep.
He's like, "I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I do."
I miss my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking broke my heart. Those scenes. Oh, okay.
And that was
So this, it was hard for me to pick a scene out of this next 6 to 9 minutes.
Yeah.
But, for me, this is the hardest part of this movie because this is, I don't know that there's a 1-to-1 match for any one character and me and my friends at this age, but there's a hell of a lot of overlap. And like a lot of these conversations are exactly the conversations we would have out in the woods, even when we're looking for melon heads. This is the part of the movie that really hits home for me.
Leach under the sink.
You raped my old man.
Why do you care what a fat old pile of shit like him says about your dad? He still stormed the beach at Normandy, right?
I mean, how do you get kids to act that good, man? That's...
Well, then in like 6 minutes, they have that conversation where Chris is like, you got to fucking go to school and try your best.
Yeah.
I know you got a shit dad, and I wish I was your dad. I'd make you do what's right. Just wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of weird really stuff with and stuff that resonates, right? 12-year-old boys don't cry in front of each other over emotional things. Like that's trained out of you, right? You don't show emotions like this. It's when it happens, you remember
it's
that
raw.
shit.
It's freaking raw,
It's hard. It's
I
hard
used to tootle around with like Marty Canner and Josh Goldman. And we would go through all the stupid storm drains and shit. We would explore everything around where we lived. That was crazy. I'm shocked I lived. But yeah, no, this movie. This is a tough movie, Oh, and these jerks. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention during that earlier one, you don't have to go back or anything, is they kept on singing the Have Gun Will Travel theme, right? So that was the number 3 rated show amongst hooligans. Thank you for laughing. That was very courteous of you.
$, I'd kill you both.
Hey, we're back here with the
I just like that line of, if either of you had $2,000, I'd kill you both.
And, and he means it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The straight up worst human being alive. The box art for this is just like the boys standing on the train tracks, right? Oh. And like that image, that's a great freaking image. This scene for me, all of it, man. This gets my heart racing. Like I am so afraid that they're gonna die across this bridge. Like even as a full-grown male who's seen this before, I still felt like they're probably gonna die as they run across this bridge.
Yeah.
And, as much as I relate to sort of, the dialogue they have about their dysfunctional families and only having each other and stuff, this is probably the thing I relate to second most in this movie because I am so scared of heights. I felt so bad for Vern. I would absolutely be hands and knees crossing this freaking thing, trying not to look down.
Yeah.
Poor Vern.
I don't know. It's a really, I don't know. The directing, the acting, the writing. This is just one of those things that movies like, you're gonna get run down by a train. You don't have a choice. You gotta run, and you're scared. Oh, that's choice, and it's so real. Their faces screaming.
Yeah.
I did like the story on Wikipedia about how. Like they had done a bunch of takes of this scene, and the kids were, kind of wearing out, and Rob Reiner screamed at him that the whatever coolies who were pushing the train were, if they didn't get it on this take, they were going to come after him, and that's when they got scared.
That sucks.
So he's like, yeah, that's some real terror.
Yeah,
right.
So this just reminded me of the first time I tried smoking cigarettes. It was third grade with the kid down the road, Darren Murr. I stole a couple from my dad's pack. They were Pall Mall 100 Golds, and man, did we get sick. We got so freaking sick and green that we didn't try it again until later that week. We just wanted to make sure, since smoking cigarettes looked like it was going to be pretty cool, I just wanted to make sure, and I was pretty sure. I didn't touch another cigarette again until high school.
I think I mean, I smoked a couple of random cigarettes in middle school, like at the treehouse, in fact, where all the neighborhood porn would go to be stashed. But I didn't really
The porn treehouse.
The porn tree.
Yeah, the porn tree. Not to be confused with the giving tree.
Yeah, the giving tree gives you different
it's
stuff.
completely
The porn
different.
tree.
Yep.
Corn ripens and falls from its branches.
There's a lot of weird plants growing in the area. We don't understand what's fertilizing it.
So when you first saw those Magic Treehouse books, you thought they were completely different than what they were.
Totally different. No, because here's
How
the
dare
thing,
they
though.
market these towards kids?
I was too young to understand, like during the Treehouse era, I was too young to understand what the porn in the Treehouse was for because I was like 11, 12, and like I didn't understand, like on the other side of the puberty wall when you understand what all that shit's about. No, I smoked. It was for me. I started smoking in when I worked as a bagging groceries. And all of the clerks bagging groceries would just go out and chain smoke at every available break. It's like, well, that's what you do. And whew, good times.
Good times.
Nothing like a smoke after a meal.
Yeah. I cherish these moments.
So, okay, when I got to this
this
moment,
whole scene is such Stephen King. You know?
Such a left turn, and it totally makes sense, in the context of like this is really like the thing where you see why Gordy is special. But I gotta tell you.
So for me, this was always my least favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, it's really disjoint.
And watching it this time, I still I feel better about it, mostly because when I watched this the first few times, I wanted the story to be more horrific. I wanted it to have a horror turn, you know? And it didn't. It was just gross, and I was like, oh, that's stupid. He should have killed all those people or whatever, I thought when I was a kid. But watch it now, I don't know what it is, but I think, I watch this now, and I think this is probably a story a 12-year-old would make up to tell his friends.
Yeah.
It seems very on point to me now, even though I didn't really care for it when I was a kid. And I also love the Benevolent Order of Antelope.
Right.
I love
right.
that.
And the women's auxiliary sitting behind him.
Got the hats.
Yeah. This is in some ways it's almost narcissistic of the writer who wrote this, because he's like, I'm going to show you how good of a story this kid can tell, and it's going to totally work. And so you're kind of showing off here, Stephen King, But this is such a Stephen King story within a story. Like, if you read some of his other stuff, you're like, there's tons of this stuff, and it usually works pretty well. I think in the movie, it kind of didn't work because you're like, it's just like this weird. I have to tell you, I think this scene in this movie is the birthplace, like the primogenitor of every cutaway to an alternative thought process, like in the Family Guys and in the rest. I think this is where it started. I think if you tied Seth MacFarlane down and you made him watch this, he'd be like, oh yeah, that's why I do that stuff. Yep.
I guess the counter argument would be that the Seth MacFarlane version of that is purely done for a joke, and this is actually done for a legit character development purpose. This is Gordy showing you why he's special, and why he's gonna not be Kiefer Sutherland in 5 years.
Yep.
And it turns out that it's just weird barfing stories. Kind of perfect. The boa guys, those guys. That's a good choice. That's a good choice.
Yep. No, they nailed it with the casting on that one.
Let's see, you guys.
There's a line in here at, I think it's 45:15, that I thought was just precious.
I was at 44:15.
Don't pay any attention to those fools, lardass.
Lardass.
Well, and what's funny too is that the kid Jerry O'Connell is made fun of for being fat, but he's just husky. This guy's fat, and so it's interesting that the movie, the movie within the movie, is actually like so heightened, like such a heightened reality. That's why it works, I guess.
So the thing is, they have the scene where they're sort of behind the character of Lardass, and it's like they clearly have pillows, like little pillows under his arm. And I'm like,
and in the front of his shirt.
And the thing is, I have to tell you, this made me hate every person in that town.
Ooh.
I'm just like, these people are they're just jerks, man.
I think that's the point.
Yeah.
And it works. It totally works for me. So.
Yeah, this is a heightened reality. It's meant to
you
be.
You should absolutely hate the crowd.
I hate them all,
especially the boa guys.
But it also reminded me of like every crappy, small town jerk that I've been around growing up. So.
Indeed.
Again, Stephen King's a genius.
That's true.
Ba-ba-boom.
Ba-ba-boom.
And now, the one you've all been waiting for. The 4-time champion, our own Bill Travis.
Let's see.
The clear crowd favorite.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is the night.
No, I mean, this is just the barfing scene.
Yeah, I'm shooting right by it, man.
Yeah, no, I just had... it caught me by surprise. Like, yeah.
But that's the thing, right? It's the weird, it's the, I don't know, there's probably a good term for it. Like, after this point in the movie, it's, now we get to the dark shit. It's been rough,
right.
But
it's like
the palate
It's
cleanser.
like the last send off of things that are completely childish almost,
Yeah.
True.
So the vomit represents the end of childhood?
I guess.
Barfarama.
Barfarama.
Yeah.
More bad scores. I promise I'll eat all my lima beans.
Vern. And I love that he keeps teasing Vern. No, I'm pretty sure that's a ghost. That's no coyote. That's for sure a ghost. That's absolutely something we would have done as kids. If one of us was scared, for sure, we would have made sure that he was terrified.
Oh, the funeral, man. Oh, God. Did one of you put a note for that line? Because I don't want to see that line, man. Yeah, that kid shouldn't be trusted with that pistol.
Yeah, no, he's like, finger in the trigger, just, he's going to kill all his friends.
He's Kiefer.
The only thing is, what's that?
He's Kiefer hunting. They're in season.
That's true.
I know he doesn't have the best trigger discipline, but the one that scared me in this was Vern. Man, Vern's got that gun and he is scared shitless. There's no way you would give that gun to Vern.
No. Vern is not thinking once when he pulls that trigger. That is purely on reflex.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got to jump a big time now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we got a 19-minute jump here.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the movie
We're
is
missing so many good scenes.
Yeah,
I admit I was super
scenes.
into the movie. I didn't want to stop. And honestly, it was so sad.
Brothers, man. Not literal brothers, but brothers.
But brothers, for sure.
Yeah. Too many people died in my life, man. This movie killed me.
All right, well, we're jumping 122.
Nate. Oh.
Sorry, big jump here.
Week, he entered a fast food restaurant. Just ahead of him, two men got into an argument. One of them pulled a knife. Chris, who had always made the best piece, tried to break it up.
Yeah, just like, hey, the one guy who kind of did good at all this. Right. He got it in the throat, and he's dead now. And that's why I'm writing this whole thing down. So tie it together with the newspaper article at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw your note. All right, I'll do it. Let's back up a few frames.
Yeah, there you go.
I was waiting for that. I'm so glad that you found the sound effect.
It's been on my stupid board since I used it that one time. And if you need it, though, I've also got that.
There you go.
Good to know.
Yeah, just go forward just a few more, and so you get the whole quote. There you are.
Jesus.
There it is. Yeah. Nate, I knew you when you were 12.
I think I was probably 13, but yeah.
I didn't know you guys until my 20s.
I was 7th grade, 30. So I think I was 12. 8th grade?
I have a few friends who we still hang out with regularly who I've known since kindergarten. I've known since I was 4. And, this line out of this movie just really hits home for a lot of those. I have a lot of friends from elementary school we still hang out with. And, this movie reminds me of, sort of how we all came from various levels of bad home, and sort of created our own family. And, that's why this movie really resonates with me, and that last line in particular.
Yeah. I won't lie, I kind of teared up a couple of times while watching this. Yep. It's a doozy, man. And there's Dreyfus going out. Nate?
With his soft kids who've never had any adversity and are whacking each other with, towels in the front lawn instead of going out having an adventure of a lifetime looking for a dead body.
At his mansion from residuals on his movie scripts.
Right. So,
so good on them. Yep. They'll never have a real adventure. They'll
just grow up to be, shitty people, probably some jerk frat boy.
Yep. Go work in an investment bank.
It's true.
Yeah. It's a weird thing.
Rob, you took us to the most emotional place, I think, of the movies we've watched on this during all of these.
Well, actually, I decided this was going to be my pick when we were watching Space Camp, strangely enough, because you were talking about how that movie really resonated with you when you were that age and you really remembered it. So I was thinking about what movie probably most resonated with me at that age. I was like, it's Stand By Me for sure. So I decided that was going to be my next pick then.
Well, I'm really glad you didn't pick Children of the Corn.
It was my pick next.
Hey, want to too, Malachi.
Yeah.
Well, he who walks behind the rose never answered when we called. So, this one, it didn't really, I felt this one hit more close to home than that,
God,
so.
This one's real.
I'm looking at in the list of like his movies, like Firestarter was just a blast, Children of the Corn was I still remember it was great. Dead Zone was fantastic. Creepshow, it had its moments, but yeah.
See, my problem with King is that I love The Shining. I love the film The Shining, and I know that's like for the Stephen King folks, that's not like that's like borderline Stephen King.
Yeah, I mean it's not exactly like the book, but it's not, the main scenes are still in there for the most part.
Sure, but I think my problem is that I'm a Kubrick fan, not a King fan.
Right, and that's okay. I'm going to declare it fine, and I'm sure that if anyone actually asked King, like so you didn't like, it wasn't your Shining, but it was still a good freaking movie, right?
Right.
So,
He hates
Yeah, this I think he still thinks and says that this is the best interpretation film of any of his stories.
Yeah.
So, and it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good
You
one.
know, my sister, she was an extra. She was a dead body in The Stand. So
Awesome.
You know, yeah, because they filmed that all at the University of Utah, and like, so all the people who worked there basically they all had to like walk on roles and as dead bodies, you know, because when they were filming the hospital. So,
and at early teens, going into teens, Stephen King was easily my favorite author. I loved all that stuff.
Yeah. So. No, we had a rule in our house when we went to the used bookstore. Any book we wanted to buy, we could get. Didn't matter if it was horror or weird or whatever. Like romance novel, sure, whatever. Not that I did that. That's the horror books. But yeah, I remember just like chewing through the Stephen King books.
Yep.
Yeah.
I always wished that I got into that stuff, but I was more of a Hitchhiker's Guide kind of guy.
Oh, I totally dug that too. But yeah, there's just something about it. And like Chris said, for me, it's like the little vignettes in the Stephen King book that make it believable. You know, it's not necessarily the overarching story. It's the little bits that make it great.
Yeah. Well, let's see, folks. Whose turn is it next?
I think it's Nate's. Is that what we figured out?
I was Lost Boys.
Oh.
No, I think it's Mulda.
Okay.
Are we gonna let him ever choose a movie again after Space Camp?
I got some choices for you.
Oh yeah, what's that?
I'm gonna throw this
Well,
back.
wait a second. You have to choose.
No,
you can't choose four.
I've got two, and I'm gonna give you guys a choice because these are two movies that I am not sure that I've seen either of them, and I am not sure. I might have seen one and think it's the other. So that's why I'm putting these two up here together. And these two are The Black Hole and Inner Space.
Both great choices. Great choices. I loved Inner Space.
I am pretty sure that I've seen Inner Space. I am pretty sure I have not seen a black hole, but I could be wrong and have them completely.
You haven't seen
How
the
have
Black
you not
Hole?
seen the Black Hole?
I know.
It's so good. It's
Like-
such a great Maximilian.
So Inner Space and Old Bob. Oh,
gotta pick Old Bob.
Inner Space is, I think, a better movie.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
just for like, I feel like you have to have seen, especially you, have to see the Black Hole in your lifetime.
I mean, I'll absolutely watch it. I'll save it for my next choice, but
it was so atypical for Disney. I mean, it's such a good movie.
It supposedly fits in the same thing as Tron. Like Tron was greenlit based on whatever happened, but I don't think I've seen it. But I might have. But yeah. So we can discuss in channel, or if there's a consensus amongst the panel. I'm cool with either.
I'm all in on the Black Hole. I got to tell you. So I don't know, Nate, Rob, what do you think?
Tiebreak it.
I would probably enjoy Inner Space more, but I kind of feel like we have to watch the Black Hole if Rob hasn't seen it.
All right.
Because it blows my mind that you have to me, it's the same as Tron. It would be like you saying, "I've never seen Tron."
Yeah.
No, and I think, how in the world have you not ever seen a Black Hole?
I'm gonna vote Black Hole because it was one of the movies that we had on VHS as a kid. So I watched it many times as a kid. I've not watched it in 30 years.
That's perfect. We'll come at it from the opposite sides. All right, folks. I'm gonna press the goodbye button. Thanks for hanging out, Chris DeBona.
Thanks for having me. This was strangely touching.
Rob Roseboom.
Yep. See you guys.
Nate Ostendorp.
See you later.
I hope you guys all stand by me. I'm Rob Commander Tacomaldo. This has been episode 507 of Geeks in Space. Stand by me. See you tomorrow for the news.